They have caused an affordability crisis never seen before. The question I have is, should Canadian voters believe their rosy projections this time around?
The Honourable Member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke in about 50 seconds.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think Canadians are believing it. I have older people who just can't pay the rent, can't pay the electricity bills now, and they're telling me that if this MAID bill goes through, that they're going to sign up because they're already depressed and they don't want to continue living this way. They would rather die than suffer the way this Liberal government has been making them suffer.
Resuming debate, reprise de débat. The Honourable Member for South Shore St. Margaret's, and I'll tell her that she has about 5.5 minutes before we have to stop the question period. The Honourable Member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And today I will be sharing my time with the member for Spadina Harbourfront. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to talk about my strong support of Bill C-15, the Budget Implementation Act, and to highlight what this legislation means to hard-working tradespeople who keep Canada moving forward every single day. So the trades, they're not just jobs. They are the backbone of our economy, the foundation of our infrastructure, and the heart of our communities. In a country as large and diverse as Canada, skilled trades workers are essential in every region, from our busiest cities to our most rural coastal towns. It's even more evident in my own riding of South Shore St. Margaret's. It's our tradespeople that keep our fisheries running. They maintain our homes and our public buildings, and they build the wharves, the roads, and the bridges that connect us. And they support the marine, forestry, and housing sectors that anchor our rural economies. From the traditional boat builders in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, to the electricians and carpenters in Bridgewater, to the welders and machinists in Liverpool, these workers are essential to our way of life, to everyone's way of life. They are the people that residents call when a storm damages a roof, when a community hall needs repairs, when a family business needs an addition, or when a vessel must be brought back to life after decades at sea. As a member of the Standing Committee of Human Resources, Skills, Social Development, and the Status of Person with Disabilities, I hear directly from workers, unions, business owners, and educators. We hear regularly about these challenges that the tradespeople face: the cost of living, affordable housing, the cost of modernizing equipment, and the importance of practical, hands-on training opportunities to keep pace with new technologies. Mr. Speaker, Bill C-15 as a whole responds to those concerns, not with slogans, but with real, tangible, practical measures that will make a meaningful difference for workers and small businesses from coast to coast to coast. Today, I want to highlight 5 of the most significant measures that this budget and how it supports trades workers and strengthens industries that they power. The first one within the budget is the productivity super deduction. So this measure allows businesses to immediately write off 100% of eligible capital investments. This means that small and medium-sized businesses, especially the shops that form the backbone of our communities, can upgrade their equipment right away without waiting years for depreciation to keep up. That's right. Our second one that we have that's going on is the Clean Electricity Investment Tax Credit. And this tax credit, this 15% refundable tax credit, will help businesses invest in renewable energy and energy-efficient upgrades. In communities like mine, where our economy is closely tied to the ocean, clean energy investments are not just good for the environment, but they reduce those operating costs and create new opportunities for trades. Imagine vessel sheds and processing plants with solar panels. Imagine a small business with a battery shortage system that can protect against outages during storms. Imagine community buildings, marinas, workshops, and boatyards completing energy-efficient retrofits that cut costs while putting local electricians, installers, and energy professionals at work. The third thing I'd like to talk about and why I'm supporting this budget is investments in infrastructure and climate resilience. So the budget 2025 accelerates permitting of major infrastructure projects, something rural and coastal communities are desperately in need of. Faster permitting means less time waiting for more building. Who doesn't like that? Oh wait, maybe across the aisle. More work for concrete crews, heavy equipment operators, carpenters, and marine construction teams. Who doesn't like that, Mr. Speaker? This past summer, the town of Mahone Bay became a national model in my riding when it received a federal support to build a living shoreline that protects homes, businesses, and public spaces from a storm surge and erosion. It shows that it's possible when different levels of government come to work together and when trades workers are empowered to bring climate resilient design to life.
It's getting good. The honourable member will have 5 minutes. Order, please. The honourable member will have 5 minutes after question period. In the meantime, I have the honour to inform the House that a communication has been received as follows. Dated November 20th, 2025. Mr. Speaker, I have the honour to inform you that Mr. Ken McKillop, Deputy of the Governor-General of Canada, signified royal assent by written declaration to the bills listed in the schedule to this letter on the 20th day of November 2025 at 10:29 a.m. Yours sincerely, Ryan Adam, Executive Director, Office of the Secretary to the Governor-General. And the bill is sent to Thursday, November 20th, 2025. An act to amend the Citizenship Act, Bill C3, an act to authorize Gore Mutual Insurance Company to apply to be continued as a body corporate under the laws of the province of Quebec, Bill S. 1001. J'ai l'honneur d'informer la Chambre qu'une
I have the honour of announcing to the House the following communication. November 20th, 2025. Mr. Speaker, I have the honour to inform you that Mr. Ken McKillop, Deputy of the Governor-General of Canada, signified royal assent by written declaration to the bills listed in the schedule to this letter on the 20th day of November 2025 at 10:29 a.m. Yours sincerely, Ryan McAdam, Executive Director, Office of the Secretary to the Governor-General. Bills assented to on Thursday, November 20th, 2025, an act to amend the Citizenship Act 2025, Bill C3, an act to authorize Gore Mutual Insurance Company to apply to be continued as a body corporate under the laws of the province of Quebec. Bill S. 1001.
Alors là-dessus, on peut poursuivre avec les déclarations des députés. Statement.
We can go ahead and do statements by members. The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians sent us here to tackle the pressing issues they're facing and improve their lives. They want us to strengthen Canada and create a brighter future for our children. New Democrats are inspired by Jack Layton, who urged us to make Parliament work and deliver results for people. That's because we believe Canadians deserve a future where everyone can thrive, not just the privileged few. So we're ready to roll up our sleeves and work to make that vision a reality. It's clear that millions of Canadians are struggling right now. But instead of offering solutions, the Liberals are demanding sacrifices from workers while handing out billions to the wealthiest individuals and most profitable corporations. They're slashing services and cutting thousands of family-sustaining jobs amid a jobs crisis. New Democrats are ready to offer a different approach with positive, constructive policies to build a stronger country and a fairer society.
Honourable member for South Shore St. Margaret's.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize an incredible bravery act of a young woman constituent, Miss Elena Shea of Lunenburg County. On August 22nd, a Hurricane Erin passed by Nova Scotia. Elena and her mother were visiting Hurdles Beach to watch the waves. What began as a calm afternoon quickly turned into sudden surges, sweeping a woman off her feet and pulling her into deep, powerful waters. And without hesitation, she leapt from her chair, ran into the wave, and lifted that woman to her feet, guiding her safety back to shore against the force of the current. Thanks to this quick-thinking courage and selflessness, a life was saved that day.
Amazing.
Elena's mother, Jane Vino Taker, later reached out to the office in request of a certificate of life. Elena Shea is an inspiring example of courage and compassion in our community, and we are proud to recognize her bravery here today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Bow River.
Mr. Speaker, as we enter the Christmas season and celebrate the birth of Christ, Canadians are reminded that this is a time not only of celebration and hope, but of compassion and grace. Across our communities, local food banks and charities are working tirelessly to ensure that no family goes hungry and every child feels the joy of Christmas. Their work reflects the best of who we are: generous, caring, and grounded in faith and service. Across my riding in Bow River, charities are ensuring that families and children have the support they need this season. The Whelan County Food Bank Holiday Food Drive is helping local families, while St. Joseph's Parish in Vauxhall is once again setting up its angel tree to collect gifts for the Vauxhall and Area Food Bank. Matthew reminds us, whatever you did for one, for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Let us support these efforts. Let us also ensure that government policy respects and empowers faith-based charities and parishes whose missions lift up the most vulnerable in our communities.
Hear, hear, hear.
The honourable member for Humber River Black Creek.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I recently met with Riverside Natural Foods, a proud constituent company headquartered in my riding and a leader in Canada's organic food supply chain. Known for its Made Good brand, Riverside exemplifies the innovation and collaboration that connects farmers, processors, and consumers, and the power of organics to link people to the food we eat and the planet that we share. Riverside is growing by 30 to 40% annually and uses 95% organic ingredients, ideally Canadian grown. A new national report confirms that organic production boosts farm profitability, lowers greenhouse gas emissions, and sustains soil health and biodiversity. Yet the United States spends 8 times more per acre on organics than Canada. I encourage all members to support the Canadian Organic Alliance and their Organic Action Report, a national policy framework to modernize regulations and grow markets. Thank you, Mr.
The honourable member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, on the 4th Saturday of every November, Canadians join Ukrainians around the world to remember the Soviet-forced famine and genocide of 1932-33 called the Holodomor. Joseph Stalin's communist regime deliberately killed millions of people in Ukraine for being Ukrainian. Stalin wanted to exterminate their language, culture, religion, and identity. After eliminating the clergy, political leaders, academics, and farmers, he then weaponized food. To grasp the scale of this genocide in Ukraine, imagine stripping bare every grocery store, home, farm, fridge, and cupboard across Western Canada today, and then watching every man, woman, and child slowly starve to death. That is the horror millions of Ukrainians endured. Stalin and his Soviet thugs failed to Russify Ukraine then. Vladimir Putin and his Russian barbarians will fail in his Russification of Ukraine today. This week, as we remember the victims of the Holodomor, we stand with those fighting for Ukraine's very survival. May their memories be eternal. Vichnaya Pamyat.
L'honorable député d'Alfred Pellan.
The Honourable Member for Alfred Pellan. Mr. Speaker, I rise to recognize the 80th anniversary of Courrier Laval, a pillar of local media and an essential part of Laval community life. For 8 decades, this newspaper has embodied rigor, local journalism, and commitment to the community that it informs. From the first pages written by founder José Limoges to the most recent edition led by Martin Olivier and Patrick Marsan, Courrier Laval has changed with the times while remaining faithful to its mission, which is to reflect the reality of Laval, cast light on its successes, challenges, and the people that shape its identity. Today, information circulates with a great deal of speed and urgency. So local media like Courrier Laval are essential to preserve our culture, our democracy, and to bring people together. I'd like to congratulate the entire team for these 80 years of service, loyalty, and passion. Thank you.
The honourable member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
Keith Tom lived his life with purpose and left us a lasting legacy in Peachland and all of us that knew him. Known to many as Papa Tom, he could light up a room, whether through music or a smile. As a dedicated municipal councillor and deputy mayor, Keith embodied kindness and service, and he raised thousands for food banks during the pandemic and honored our veterans, including his father, on his last visit to Holland. That pride showed in small gestures. At our last breakfast, he shared stories of retracing his father's steps in the liberation of the Netherlands, and he gave me this tie, the official tartan of British Columbia, and I wear it today in his honor. These small acts of kindness were part and parcel to Keith. My condolences go to his wife, Mary Lynn, his children, Fiona, Andrew, Rachel, as well as Charles, Alexander, and Matthew, and their families. I join with Peachland Mayor and Council in grieving. The district has suggested donations to the Peachland Food Bank, a cause Keith has championed. Keith believed in giving back and lifting others up. Let's honor his legacy by doing the same. Rest in peace, Papa Tom.
The honourable member for South Surrey White Rock.
Mr. Speaker, on November 21, we mark World Fisheries Day and recognize the vital role that sustainable fisheries and healthy oceans play in our local economies and to our shared future. Coastal communities across our country rely on the ocean for their livelihoods. For generations, it has defined our culture and our identity. Canada is known around the globe for our world-class seafood and our healthy oceans. Budget 2025 strengthens Canada's capacity to safeguard our coastlines and grow our fisheries through supporting small craft harbors and strong measures to grow our economy and expand our markets. These investments will build a more resilient industry, healthier oceans, and stronger fishing communities. On this World Fisheries Days, let's recognize how important they are to all Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Cambridge.
Mr. Speaker, crime is escalating and families and workers in my community are paying the price. In Cambridge, families sleeping in their beds and workers in retail and service jobs are now facing violent criminals. Just this week, a smash and grab at Canadian Tire, an armed jewelry store robbery at the Cambridge Centre, and gunshots fired at a family home. Imagine being a retail worker wondering if today is the day mass criminals storm in with weapons. Innocent employees looking to earn a paycheck and feed their families. And now, nowhere feels safe, not at home and not at work. My community is done waiting. They are speaking up loudly. They're flooding my email. They expect the government to protect them, not be easy on criminals that terrorize their streets. But what do they get from this Liberal government? Half measures and a weak justice system where criminals roam free. Mr. Speaker, Cambridge has a message for this government. Enough with the soft on crime approaches that put criminals ahead of Canadians. They're asking the government to stop the revolving door of crime and bring back consequences to protect our community.
Hear, hear.
L'honorable député de Berthier-Masquinongé.
The honourable member for Berthier-Masquinongé. Mr. Speaker, the Mauricie region recently lost a pillar, Jean-Paul Diamond. For many years, he worked hard to serve his community and region. He was involved in the Association for Persons with Disabilities, the Speckled Trout Festival, and the Festival des Neiges. And Mr. Diamond also played an important role in the world of politics. He was first a municipal councillor and then mayor in Saint-Alexis-des-Monts. He then became a reeve in Masquinongé for around a dozen years, after which he represented the region in the National Assembly of Quebec. Beyond politics, we recognize the sincere commitment and loyalty of Mr. Diamond, who always worked hard to develop his region and to improve the lives of his fellow citizens. I would like to send my most sincere condolences to his loved ones. The entire community is losing a leader in Mr. Diamond. Thank you, Mr. Diamond. We will remember.
L'honorable député de...
The honourable member for Terrebonne. Mr. Speaker, on November 18, 1803, at the Battle of Vertières, an entire people stood up to overthrow the colonial order and affirm equality between black and white people and between all men and women. That day, Haiti wrote an essential page in the universal history of freedom. And now, the Grenadiers, the national Haitian soccer team, have qualified for the 2026 World Cup, which will be held here in Canada. The hardworking, proud, and resilient Haitian people are offering us a new victory, a new reason to celebrate. This will enable us to enjoy glorious moments not only for sports, but also for memory, hope, and the entire Haitian diaspora. I'd like to sincerely congratulate Monique André from the Haitian Soccer Federation, as well as the entire team, both coaches and players, for this remarkable gift to the Haitian people. Mr. Speaker, tout pour you.
The honourable member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, this Liberal government is the most expensive in Canadian history. Food prices are rising 40% faster here than in the United States, crushing workers, families, seniors, and young people. Today, Simcoe Hall Settlement House in Oshawa shared heartbreaking news. Families who have never needed help before are now walking into the food bank. Even longtime donors can't give anymore because they're now struggling just to get by. One mother said her kids sometimes miss school because she can't afford to pack a lunch. Yet instead of giving parents real relief so they can afford to feed their own families, the Liberals point to a national food program that does nothing to fix the affordability crisis at its root. Even while families struggle, Liberals hiked the industrial carbon tax, making food, farming, and groceries even more expensive. How many more families will be forced to line up at food banks before the government finally admits to the child reality?
The honourable member for Burlington.
Canada should be the best place in the world to be a child and to raise a child. On National Child Day, I reflect on the many steps we have taken to make this a reality. Introducing in the last decade the Canada Child Benefit that has lifted 500,000 kids out of poverty. Creating a national childcare program that is setting our kids up for success and enabling parents to stay in the workforce. And the creation of a national school food program that is feeding 400,000 kids in Canada. And while these are good and necessary steps, there is still so much more we can and must do to provide the best start in life for our Canadian children. One such area we need to tackle is the increasing harms our children are facing online, including cyberbullying, exploitation, grooming, and AI-generated abuse. Children's organizations, parents, and kids themselves are sounding the alarm. Today, let's commit to tackling these new and emerging issues because all of our nation's kids deserve to live in safety and with...
The honourable member for Middlesex, London.
Liberal governments, Canadians cannot afford another Prime Minister who cashes in while they line up at the food banks. As Brookfield chair, the Prime Minister helped funnel $6.5 billion through Bermuda and Cayman tax havens, dodging Canadian taxes for his personal benefit. That is not public service. It is self-service. Every dollar hidden offshore is a dollar not building homes, funding healthcare, or supporting veterans and seniors who did everything right and are now falling behind. Canadians see the pattern. He doubled Trudeau's deficits, cooked up the second most expensive budget in history, fudged the numbers to hide how bad it was, and now we learn that he helped the biggest tax dodger in Canada shelter billions. While the Prime Minister and his Bay Street buddies hide the money at the Bermuda bike shop, he tells young Canadians to tighten their belts. This is unacceptable. Conservatives demand an end to this insider game. We will close the loopholes and put Canadians first by cutting taxes for real growth and hope.
The honourable member for Cardigan.
Mr. Speaker, in eastern Prince Edward Island, fishing isn't just an industry, it's a way of life on PEI and it's part of our identity. More than 1,200 licensed harvesters contribute over $300 million annually to the island economy, with lobster alone accounting for nearly 70% of our landed value. Over the past several months, I've had the opportunity to meet with fishers and the industry stakeholders in the region. These conversations focus on what matters most to our fishing communities: fair prices, deterrence of illegal fishing activity, sustainable stock management, safe working conditions, and ensuring the next generation can continue this proud tradition in Atlantic Canada. As we lead up to World Fisheries Day on November 21st, let us reaffirm our gratitude to the harvesters, the plant workers, the buyers, families and coastal communities whose dedication sustains one of Canada's most vital industries. Their knowledge, their experience and commitment to sustainable harvesting ensures that our coastal communities remain strong for generations to come.
The honourable member for Oxford.
This Prime Minister spends more time in the air than he does here in Canada, jet-setting with global elites. In just 8 months, he has taken 28 trips, racking up over 153,000 kilometers, enough to nearly circle the globe 4 times. But what does he have to show for this, for these aeroplan miles? Absolutely nothing. No trade deals and no results. And every time he wheels up, it's Canadians who get higher costs and higher tariffs. When he met the Americans, U.S. tariffs doubled. India slapped tariffs on our peas, and China is hammering our farmers on canola. And auto workers, they're losing their jobs, Mr. Speaker. And now the Prime Minister is on another trip. He's out in Dubai just a few days after Brookfield invested billions of dollars there, Mr. Speaker.
Wow.
What a coincidence, isn't it, Mr. Speaker? He's always there for his Brookfield friends, but he's never there for hard-working Canadians. He has plenty of takeoffs, but no takeaways for Canadians because he has a net zero record when it comes.
The honourable member for London Centre.
Today, November 20th, is Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Day. Every year, 7,000 Canadians are diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and more than 6,000 succumb to this terrible disease. One was my aunt, Mr. Speaker, my late aunt, Eleni de la Porta, who passed away this past January at the young age of 58. She leaves behind 2 extraordinary sons, Nico and Panayi, her beloved husband, Arthio Petro, her soon-to-be daughters-in-law, Bernice and Coralia, Mr. Speaker. All of this brings to mind, Mr. Speaker, of course, the continued importance of research and awareness and making sure that early detection becomes possible. When we focus on those things, it does become possible, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much to the House.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for Regina Capel.
The Prime Minister's deal with Canadians was elect him and he would get us a win on tariffs. Since then, he's taken over 20 trips, which might be worth it if he actually came home with better deals, but he's not. After meeting with the U.S., tariffs are even higher than before. After meeting with China, we now have new tariffs on grain and seafood. India put new tariffs on peas after their meeting. He claimed to have some kind of special ability that would result in new trade deals, but it turns out he's not that special. He's just another Liberal. Will the Prime Minister admit that he's trailing on fade, or is making things worse part of some genius strategy?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, today our government took another step forward in our commitment to double non-U.S. trade over the next decade and diversify our economy. While in the UAE, the Prime Minister signed a foreign investment promotion and protection agreement to create a more predictable environment for two-way investments. And we launched negotiations for Canada-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Trade Deal. This agreement would cut tariffs, remove trade barriers, and expand market access for Canadian exporters. With a signed FIPA and launch of CEPA, we are opening doors, creating new markets, and creating opportunities for Canadian workers and businesses, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Regina Capel.
That's such a typical Liberal, eh? Things are always just about to start getting better. Meanwhile, actual tariffs keep going up. Now, one way to increase trade with other countries would be with a pipeline to British Columbia's west coast. But the Liberals killed Northern Gateway in 2016, resulting in billions in lost opportunities for Canadian workers and businesses. Now there's talk of reviving that pipeline, but of course, if the shipping ban stays in place, no one will be able to actually export what comes through the pipe. The Liberals made it illegal to ship Canadian energy off Canada's west coast. Does that law also ban U.S. tankers from traveling through the same area?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr.
Mr. Speaker, Canada has a tremendous opportunity to be a leading energy superpower. This government was elected to deliver nation-building projects, strengthen our economy, reinforce Canadian autonomy, advance Indigenous prosperity while contributing to clean growth. We are working with all the provinces, including Alberta, to achieve these shared objectives. The federal government has been engaged in constructive talks with the government of Alberta, and we will have more to say in a few weeks.
The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Again, after 10 years, we're just on the cusp of things all coming together, Mr. Speaker. But I can answer the question that the minister didn't answer himself. The answer is no. While the Liberals have made it illegal for Canadian companies to load Canadian ships with Canadian oil, U.S. tankers can continue to travel off BC's coast and take their oil to countries around the world. As we speak, the U.S. crude oil tanker California is traveling from Tacoma to Alaska along that west coast. Why are the Liberals keeping in a law that prevents Canada from exporting our oil while U.S. tankers travel through the exact same place?
I know the honourable member across the aisle is not happy, but the Premier of Alberta has said she's quite supportive of what we're doing and is looking forward to finishing the conversations with the Prime Minister.
L'honorable député de Charlebourg.
The honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, since the Prime Minister took office, he has made over 20 international trips under the guise of wanting to make Canada wealthier, but he has accomplished the complete opposite. During his 4 trips around the world, Donald Trump's tariffs have doubled, tariffs on aluminum are at 50%, tariffs on lumber have tripled, and thousands of Canadians have lost their jobs. Every time he travels, we're slapped with new tariffs. Can the Prime Minister put his passport away so he can stay in Canada and take care of Canada? The Honourable Minister of Canada-U.S. Trade. Mr. Speaker, our colleague knows full well that our government was elected to take care of trade with other countries around the world. We have a very ambitious plan. That's the plan Canadians voted for during the election. My colleague may be a bit confused. Often, a government leader travels, for instance, the trip to the United Arab Emirates, where, good news, we signed a very big, important deal with that important investor, and we will continue to work for the Canadian economy. The honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Well, you were elected under false pretenses. You said that you would fix things with Donald Trump, and they've totally failed, Mr. Speaker. Meanwhile, there are issues with the Canada Revenue Agency. The cost of bureaucracy in Canada has risen by over 80% since the Liberals came to power, and now there are hundreds of thousands of Canadians who can't access their files online. Nearly 1 million Canadians can't access their files online. Callers to the CRA are receiving false information. The minister said that he would fix that. Can he update us on his progress? The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to inform my colleague that, as was announced by the Finance Minister in the fall, we have a 100-day plan to ensure that Canadians receive reliable, accurate, quick service from the Canada Revenue Agency. We doubled call centre capacity at the CRA. 10% of Canadians Canadian callers get an answer within 10 minutes, and no one has to call the CRA to access their file anymore. Everyone has access to their file, so the Minister of Finance's plan is working well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Sure, well, let's talk about that then. Former Minister Diane Leboutillier in 2015 made cuts, and they just cut at the CRA. But it gets worse, Mr. Speaker. Canadians every day visit us in our riding offices to tell us about the problems they're having with the CRA. Sometimes they cry. They say, we can't access CRA services. I'm trying to handle things with my taxes. I had to try 4 times before we was able to fix things. So can the government acknowledge that this is an emergency situation? It's very serious. And can they fix the mess at the CRA? The Honourable Minister. That's exactly what we're doing, Mr. Speaker. We acknowledge that Canadians have the right to quick, accurate, reliable CRA services, but now the portal is working. Also, as for calls, 10% of callers have access to support agent within 15 minutes, and we fixed the problem of people not accessing their files. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister had two choices this week. First choice, go to Brazil to COP30 and show that he's not completely giving up on the fight against climate change. Choice number two, go to the Middle East and make deals with petro-monarchies. What did he choose? The petro-monarchies. Just like he chose oil companies in the budget by offering them billions in tax credits and exempting them from a cap on their greenhouse gas emissions. And to think that before the Prime Minister got into politics, he promoted green finance. Does the Prime Minister realize that by betraying his values, he's also betraying the former director of Équiterre, who sits to his right? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister did indeed have a choice regarding what to do this week. What did he choose? He chose to be here in the House 2 times to vote for our historic budget. It's historic for Quebecers. It's historic for Canadians. This Prime Minister will always act in the best interests of Canada. He will always act to get good opportunities for Canada. He will always work to build and to improve opportunities for Canada, and especially for Quebecers, Mr. Speaker. The Bloc Québécois should do the exact same. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, while the Prime Minister boycotted the Conference of Parties to meet with sultans in Abu Dhabi, Canada received a volley of criticism. Nearly 2,000 organizations from around the world awarded Canada the Fossil of the Day Award for backtracking in the fight against climate change. Canada is a world champion of pollution. Interestingly enough, the last time Canada received the Fossil Award was in 2014. We remember that at that time, the Canadian Prime Minister was also boycotting the COP. It was Stephen Harper at the time. Is this a coincidence? Or is this because the Liberals are setting us back 10 years? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the United Arab Emirates are among the top investors in renewable energy, among the top investors in the world. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is true to his kind in snubbing the Conference of Parties to meet with petro-monarchies. Because what is Canada? It is a petro-monarchy. That's Canada's identity. Canada received a Fossil Award at the COP. Just like other petro-monarchies, Canada ranked 61st out of 67 countries in the Climate Performance Index alongside petro-monarchies. And today the Liberals again want to backtrack and work with Alberta to build a new dirty oil pipeline. That's Canadian identity, Mr. Speaker. But the Minister of Canadian Identity, meanwhile, he didn't used to support that. So how can he support it today? The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change. Mr. Speaker, I was there at the Conference of Parties. I met with environmental organizations from around the world. They told us that Canada has an important role and is playing an important role in fighting climate change and bringing countries together. Not only that, but we are building Canada strong. We are working with other countries who want our clean green energy. We have clean energy to sell, and we are ready to make those deals.
Calgary, Midnapore.
In 2006, the Harper government saw the need for an independent parliamentary fiscal watchdog, and boy, were they right. In his budget brief last week, the PBO reminded the Prime Minister of the Liberals' own words just last November, that reducing the federal debt to GDP ratio over the medium term is key not only for fiscal sustainability, but also to preserve Canada's AAA credit rating. Well, less than a year later, and the alarm bells are ringing. How many more times does this Prime Minister need to be reminded to rein in his spending of taxpayers' dollars?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, earlier today in this chamber, the member for Calgary Midnapore said the Prime Minister's loyalty was not to Canada or to Canadians. That is a direct... I would invite her to retract that statement at this very time.
Apologize. The Honourable Member for Calgary Midnapore.
The Prime Minister's costly credit card budget loads reckless spending today on tomorrow's taxpayers, something an economist should know. After...
Okay. The Honourable Member for Calgary Midnapore may continue, please. Continue.
This Prime Minister's loyalties are to Brookfield. something an economist should know. After 10 years of these Liberals, Canadians are being forced to put nearly 50% more of their personal expenses on credit cards, a result of Liberal financial failures. Fitch Ratings has warned that because the Liberals are ignoring their own fiscal...
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think debate in this chamber is served by challenging a Prime Minister who has stood up for public service in Canada, challenging his patriotism or his service to his country. I know that member doesn't believe those things. I would invite her to restrain her comments with respect to the Prime Minister's feelings about the country and about the people that he serves, and I would once again invite her to retract those comments.
The Honourable Member for Regina Luban.
After 10 years of reckless spending by these Liberals, Canadians have forced to put 50% more of their expenses on credit cards since 2015. It's so bad that the budget watchdog has condemned the Liberal spending, saying, and I quote, "It's unsustainable and shocking." When will the Prime Minister finally put an end to his out-of-control spending spree so Canadians can put food on their table?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, on one side of the House, we have continued, tired, old rhetoric. The same questions that question a Prime Minister with world-class business and economic experience versus a leader from the Conservatives that has been in this House for 20 years, hasn't had a job outside of this House. On this side of the House, we're focused on building a strong economy. We're focused on making historic investments in infrastructure, defense, housing, transport. Mr. Speaker, on this side, we're serious about the economy. They continue with the same old, tired rhetoric.
The Honourable Member for Regina Luban.
That minister should be tired of having a reckless record when it comes to CRA and fix the CRA before he fixes anything else.
That's right.
The agency that gives the government its credit score says that since the Liberal government frequently ignores their fiscal anchors, the federal finances run into a further risk of deteriorating. A simple question to the Prime Minister is, when will he take his job seriously and get Canada's finances back on track so that Canadians can afford a life?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, on April 28th, Canadians had a choice to make between two visions for the country. One was a vision of slogans and divisiveness. On this side, our Prime Minister, with world-class business and economic experience, had a plan to build our country, to invest in our country, to build our country by Canadians, for Canadians. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are serious about building a stronger Canada, a Canada for everyone. That side is not. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
Well, a Prime Minister who describes himself as a European is giving $500 million to the European Space Agency to create good jobs in Europe. And it gets worse because the Harwell Science and Innovation Campus, where the European Space Agency will be is located in the UK, is 50% owned by Brookfield. Rather than focusing on lining the pockets of Brookfield and not ripping off Canadian workers, why don't they invest in Canada?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate that the other side doesn't recognize the key role that space investments play in our country, in our national innovation, especially in a critical year for space for Canada, where we're sending not one but two astronauts into space. This is an incredibly exciting time for Canada and Canadians to be inspired by the potential of space and space in our economy, and I hope the other side reconsiders their opposition to this.
For Dufferin-Caledon.
It's an incredibly exciting time if you're a shareholder in Brookfield right now, let me tell you, with all the slimy contracts that these guys are giving to companies affiliated with Brookfield. Meanwhile, we have 2.2 million Canadians lining up at food banks. Meanwhile, we have a 6.9% unemployment rate. And what do they decide to do? Invest $500 million to give jobs to Europe. How is the priority of this government to give jobs to Europeans when there's a 6.9% unemployment in Canada and 2.2 million people using a food bank? Justify that.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, when it comes to the most innovative things that we can do as a country, we often do them together and with other countries. So, for instance, a former member of this House, a former minister in this former government, the Honourable late Mark Garneau, he went on an American spacecraft, and there was a key piece of Canadian technology that was deployed as part of that, the Canadarm, a piece of technology on which we should all be proud on both sides of this House. So as we continue to cooperate with our European partners on this, let's see the bigger picture and see how the benefits can come to Canada with this investment.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akiawinrak. Mr. Speaker, for the past 10 years, since the Liberals took office, bureaucracy has ballooned by 80%, yet quality of public services has not improved in tandem. In fact, 950,000 calls were made to the Canada Revenue Agency last year because Canadians could not access online CRA services or their own files. That's the result of 10 years of Liberal management and government. It's the same in my county and in my riding, and I'm sure it's the same in all of the members' riding offices. There are dozens of calls each week to our riding offices from constituents who are struggling in dealing with the CRA. That's the situation after 10 years. Why aren't they fixing it? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Mr. Speaker, it's true that the situation at the CRA was unacceptable, so our government took swift action to deliver quick, effective, reliable service to Canadians. And now our plan is working. It's true, we have doubled call center capacity. Now 10% of callers receive a reply within 15 minutes, and all Canadians have access to their MyCRA account online without having to call the CRA. So our plan is working, and there's the proof. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Drummond. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Heritage doesn't care at all about private media. There were 800 layoffs at Québecor. The minister stands idly by. Cogeco and Bell Media call for help. The minister won't lift a finger. He's as indifferent to the media crisis as the Prime Minister is to the climate crisis, Mr. Speaker. Does the minister realize that his indifference and stubborn refusal to support private broadcasters worsens the media crisis? The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. Mr. Speaker, I have the utmost respect for my Bloc Québécois colleague, but the Bloc is acting like a firefighter who sets fires and then puts it out themselves. They say, oh, there's a fire, but then they are throwing oil on the fire. How so? Well, they voted against our budget, which would give $38 billion to local media, $150 million to Radio-Canada CBC. That would help media across the country. That would help with local culture and content production in Quebec and throughout the country. What did they do, Mr. Speaker? They voted it down. The Honourable Member for Drummond. Well, this is a former environmentalist speaking. Very interesting. Now, the government just scrapped the digital services tax. It could have funded a fund to support diversity of information and Quebec culture. The government isn't doing a thing for private broadcasters, and when the government is asked about it, they reply, oh, well, we're funding the public sector, as if the broadcasting system were only public, and too bad for the private sector. This prompted columnist Yasmin Abdel-Fadel to say that the minister spat on TVA artists who lost their jobs. What will it take for the minister to jump to action and help private broadcasters? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, in the budget tabled by my colleague, the Minister of Finance, there are tax credits for local journalism. The Bloc voted against it. There are initiatives for local journalism. The Bloc Québécois voted against that, Mr. Speaker. In the budget, there's $150 million for our public broadcaster. The Bloc Québécois voted nay. That's the biggest content producer of culture in Quebec. The Bloc Québécois voted against that. How do they have the gall, the nerve to rise in this place and tell us that we're not supporting journalism, that we're not supporting Quebec culture? That is outrageous, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. It's no secret we are dealing with the most costly government in Canadian history. Each and every dollar that this Prime Minister spends without any restraint, Mr. Speaker, means that there's no more money in Canadians' pockets. Canadians are dealing with food insecurity. What does that mean, Mr. Speaker? It means that Canadians cannot afford groceries. In this budget, the Prime Minister chose to increase the price of fuel with hidden taxes. Why does the Prime Minister want to make food even more expensive for Canadians who are already struggling to pay for it? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's always so fascinating to hear the Conservatives in question period day after day repeating the same talking points, the Conservative leaders' talking points. They're talking about imaginary taxes. Yet when it comes to voting for a tax break of $22 billion for 22 billion Canadians, or a school food program for vulnerable Canadians, when it comes to investing in defence, when it comes to investing in productivity, infrastructure like the Port of Quebec, the Port of Saguenay, investing in defence, investing in industry like the Davie shipyard in Quebec, they are absent. They don't vote for any of that. It's really shameful, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Métis-Éclairable-Lobinière. Well, you heard it, Mr. Speaker. He just listed off the endless, limitless spending that the government has put in its budget. That's what Liberals are. Meanwhile, more and more Canadians have to use their credit cards to feed themselves. They have to eat on credit. They have to empty their bank accounts to have to eat. And for 80% of Canadians, the cost of food is the most costly item for their budget. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, just keeps spending and spending, hiking the price of food. Why are the Liberals determined to make Canadians poorer when 25% of Canadians are already too poor to feed themselves? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, it is unbelievable to hear the opposition talk about limitless spending. And in the same breath, they talk about the school food program that would have decreased child hunger by 40% in Canada. There are plenty of people who would have benefited from that in his riding. Another example, the Canada Dental Care Program, it would have helped thousands of people in his riding. It's shameful. It's outrageous. I invite him to change his mind. I know, though, that deep within himself, he's probably happy that his leader was hiding behind the budget, and he was hoping that the budget would pass because it's a great budget and he knows it. The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals just managed to make their budget squeak by this week. It is the highest deficit budget in Canadian history. They are recklessly spending future generations of Canadians' money. In fact, the main budget pressure for 80% of Canadians is food, and 25% of Canadian households are struggling to purchase food. They are experiencing food insecurity, Mr. Speaker. And to make things worse, the Parliamentary Budget Officer has stated that hidden Liberal taxes will increase prices at the pump by 17 cents a litre. Canadian families are struggling. Why did the Liberals just keep adding more hidden taxes which drive up the cost of food? The Honourable Secretary of State for Nature. Mr. Speaker, it's true that things are not always easy for Canadians. What's important, though, is we need to give Canadians back their purchasing power. In order to do so, we are supporting Canadians in a host of ways. We are supporting families. We are supporting through the Canada Dental Care Program, PharmaCare, the school food program. These are all examples of how we are giving Canadians back their purchasing power. Not to mention all the other huge investments so that Canadians will have good, well-paying jobs. That's what it means to build Canada better and stronger and react to today's crisis.
Speaker, this Liberal government is the most expensive in Canadian history. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians and drives up the cost of everything, especially food. The St. Thomas Elgin Food Bank is seeing record demand. 4 out of 5 Canadians say food is their top expense pressure, and the Liberals are standing by their industrial carbon tax, which makes it more expensive to grow, ship, and sell food. Not only are they not scrapping it, they're increasing it. Why is the Prime Minister making life more expensive for Canadians when they can't even get by as it is?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's a bit rich coming from Poilievre's biographer, but let's talk.
We're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to do that. The Honourable Member knows. The Honourable Member's an experienced politician who's been on the Hill for a long time. She may continue, however.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, let's talk about two of the main areas of costs for families. Let's talk about taxes and let's talk about housing. This budget cuts taxes for 22 million Canadians, bringing the basic tax rate down from 15 to 14%. This is a major, major tax cut. It's about $5 billion a year in tax relief for Canadians. 85% goes to the lowest income tax brackets alone. And then on housing, Mr. Speaker, we're making the biggest investment in housing in Canadian history. We are building up the supply of homes, bringing...
The honourable member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the plug for my book. If the member read books instead of talking points, the country would be in a better place. Food prices have risen almost 40% faster in Canada than the United States. Beef up 17%, chicken 6.2%, and now the Liberals are adding a fuel tax that will make gas 17 cents a litre more expensive. Driving in my riding in rural Canada is not a luxury, it is a necessity. A tax on gas is a tax on life. When will the Liberals get real and make life more affordable?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, I think it depends on the types of books that a member might want to read. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about books. Mr. Speaker, this week in this House, the Canadian Association, the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations has been on the Hill representing students from across the land. Here is what Abdul Abbasi, the chair of CASA and a student from the University of Alberta, had to say about this budget. Students are pleased to see that the government has met CASA's call for tens of thousands of student jobs in growing economic sectors. This budget is for them. So if the member opposite wants to talk about how education builds...
The honourable member for Brampton Centre.
Mr. Speaker, all Canadians deserve to feel safe within their communities. We have critical legislation before this House that is getting stalled by conservative political antics. Will the Minister of Public Safety tell Canadians what our government is doing to combat extortion, strengthen enforcement, and protect Canadians across this country? Thank you.
Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank the member for Brampton Centre for incredible hard work and advocacy. Our government is taking real action to stop those who commit extortion, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives, however, have failed to support measures like lawful access that law enforcement across Canada have been asking us to implement. They won't support Bill C-2. They won't support Bill C-12. They won't support C-14. They won't support hiring 1,000 new RCMP personnel and 1,000 new CBSA officers. Canadians expect, Mr. Speaker, for their oppositions to work together with their government. Let's stop the rhetoric.
The honourable member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, these Liberals are running government like a travelling circus. Take the F-35 procurement, for example. Justin Trudeau said he'd never buy the F-35s. Then the Liberals ordered the F-35s later. Now, this Prime Minister started another review. Then the Minister of National Defence said the review would be done by the end of last summer. But the Secretary of Defence Procurement says, wait, there's no rush. And meanwhile, nobody can figure out what the Ministry of Industry is actually doing. So, once and for all, when will this unnecessary review finally end? And who's actually in charge of buying fighter jets over there?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, as part of our generational investments in the Canadian Armed Forces, we are procuring a new fleet of fighter aircraft for the Royal Canadian Air Force. We review all procurement approaches responsibly to align with the best interests of Canadians and the needs of the CAF. We are committed to procuring what the Air Force needs while ensuring economic benefits for Canadians.
Honourable member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Defence Minister has said that he would take the lead from the Canadian Armed Forces and experts. Well, military experts could not be more clear. Buy the F-35s. His Chief of Defence Staff said it. His Commander of the Air Force has said it. His Deputy Minister has said it. And now over a dozen retired Air Force generals have said it. By dragging on this unnecessary review, these Liberals are undermining our national security and our reputation with our allies. Yes. When will the Defence Minister finally listen to the experts and buy all 88 F-35s that our pilots need to defend Canada.
The Honourable Minister.
Pour répéter, Monsieur le Président, nous procédons.
To repeat, Mr. Speaker, we will be purchasing new planes for the armed forces. We are carefully examining procurement so that it aligns with Canadian interests and the needs of the force. We will purchase what the Air Force needs whilst taking into account economic benefits for Canada. It's very simple, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Yesterday, a shocking expose by Global News outlined how in 2016 the Liberals allowed a Syrian national named Omar al-Qassib, who is a financier of Hamas, to claim refugee status in Canada. On Tuesday, officials revealed that the Liberals have launched a one-touch program that allows refugee claimants to self-declare whether or not they are terrorists when entering Canada. How many Hamas operatives and other terrorists have the Liberals granted refugee status to in the last 10 years?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration.
Mr. Speaker, I would urge colleagues across the way to think twice about putting on the floor of the House of Commons unverified reports from anonymous sources, Mr. Speaker. Security is of paramount importance in this country. That is a sacrosanct principle upheld by successive Conservative and Liberal governments. We maintain that principle from start to finish. As for the comments about the program that was talked about at Immigration Committee, the member knows better.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
For those listening at home, that translates to, they don't know. Global News also reported that an astonishing 450 people with assorted roles in Hamas now have ties to Canada. Last week, the minister was unable to say how many non-citizen criminals and terrorists the Liberals have granted to in an official request. And now Global News is revealing that this terrorist financier has already passed the citizenship test and is awaiting a final decision. How many other terrorists are the Liberals in the process of granting citizenship to?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Continue to cite anonymous sources on the floor of the House of Commons, Mr. Speaker. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, the reality is that security remains always a fundamental responsibility that we take seriously. When security agencies become aware of potential threats to this country, they act accordingly, and we trust them to do that. As for the point that was raised before, relating to what was discussed this week at Immigration Committee, I say the member knows better because she knows very well that our security system is not upheld by an app, that checks, criminality checks, national security checks, all of these checks are carried out before anyone is allowed in this country, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Wellington, Halton Hill North.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has said that the biggest threat to the security of Canada is Beijing's foreign interference. Parliament passed a law to create a registry to combat this interference a year and a half ago. The government said it would be up and running by year end. The government must consult with opposition leaders and introduce a motion to appoint a commissioner. There's only 3 weeks left before Christmas adjournment. When will the government consult opposition leaders and introduce a motion to appoint a commissioner?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for the very important question. I just want to assure him, as well as this House, that we'll be moving forward in short order to bring forward the name to the opposition and to have a motion before the House.
The Honourable Member for Wellington, Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, last election, some candidates were vetoed for foreign interference and others were targeted. And CSIS Director Dan Rogers said just last week that China and Russia continue to target Canada. We've had one federal election without a registry, and we could have a second one at the speed that this government operates. So where is the sense and urgency in getting this registry up and running? Where are the speeds not seen in generations? Where are the consultations with opposition leaders? And where is the motion?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank the men and women of CSIS in the work that they do each and every day to protect Canadians. I also want to once again assure my colleague opposite that we will be bringing forward a name in short order, and we will ensure that there's adequate consultation that comes before the House, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Mission Matsqui, Abbotsford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Extortion threats in British Columbia are up 481% since 2015. The Liberals voted against our Conservative plan a year ago that would have tackled this crisis with mandatory jail time and removing house arrest as an option for extortion with a firearm. Since their refusal to act, thousands of new extortion cases have exploded across Canada. What do the Liberals have to say to those businesses and victims of crime who have suffered due to their inaction?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, what we have to say to Canadians is that we have a bill in front of the House, Bill C2, that has very important provision called lawful access that will ensure that crime such as extortion is dealt with in an efficient and speedy manner, Mr. Speaker. This is what law enforcement across Canada, from Abbotsford to every part of the country that I've visited over the last 6 months, have been asking for. It is a bill, it is a component of the bill that's so essential. However, the party opposite has continuously refused to bring forward and to accept lawful access as a very basic principle of Canadian criminal law.
The Honourable Member for Vaughan Woodbridge.
In Vaughan, York Region Police recently charged a local man with 4 counts of extortion. This is just one case among countless all across the country. In fact, extortion is up 330% since 2015 all across the country. And despite this, the current Liberal Minister of Justice voted against our Conservative plan to end the extortion crisis last year. A year, Mr. Speaker. They could have been proactive and supported our plan a year ago, and instead they waited for the fire to get out of control. So will they apologize to the thousands of victims who had to suffer because of their inaction?
Yes. Here, here. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it's always funny when I get up in this House and I hear the critic for immigration talking about immigration, that when they systematically slap down any possibility of improving our immigration system prior to the last election. Yes. And now the member for Vaughan Woodbridge stands up and dares ask, what tools are we putting in place to prevent extortion? He's in the way. Tell the whip to get his boot off the neck of C2 so we can give lawful access provisions to our police to prevent, detain, arrest, and jail extortionists in this country.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Skyview.
Mr. Speaker, extortion in Canada has exploded by 330% since 2015. Canadians are being terrorized. People are dying. Homes are being sprayed with bullets. And what does the Liberals do? Nothing. Shame. In Calgary, a woman who was convicted in helping with extortion walked away with just 6 months of house arrest, all because of Liberals' soft on crime policies. We presented our Conservative plan a year ago, and Liberals voted it down. What does Minister have to say to the victims for his inaction?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, what needs to happen is that the rhetoric needs to stop from across the aisle. What we need to do, Mr. Speaker, is right in front of the House. We have Bill C2, Mr. Speaker, that has lawful access as a very important principle of criminal law. We have Bill C12, the Strong Borders Act. We have C14 that speaks to the need for bail reform as well as sentencing, Mr. Speaker. These are smart criminal justice reforms that's meant to keep Canadians safe, including those who are experiencing extortion, Mr. Speaker. It's time to get serious and for the Conservative Party to come forward and pass this legislation.
The Honourable Member for Riverdez-Mille-Île. Mr. Speaker, public transit is essential to reducing congestion, supporting economic growth and improving the quality of life for Canadians in urban centres from coast to coast to coast. Last week's announcement regarding the REM represents an important step in my riding towards sustainable transportation and improved mobility in the Greater Montreal area. Can the Minister inform the House how this project will strengthen public transit and support our broader efforts to build a cleaner, and better connected future for Canadians. The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the announcement on the REM is a significant step forward for sustainable transportation in Montreal, but also for Quebec as a whole. The inauguration of the Deux-Montagnes branch will transform the way more than 170,000 people, families, workers, and students travel every day. There will be major economic benefits, including the creation of 1,000 permanent jobs in the long term. It will also reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 100,000 tonnes per year. This is an ambitious project worthy of Quebecers and worthy of a strong Canada.
The Honourable Member for Newtecumseg-Gwillimbury.
Look out, Mr. Speaker, there he goes again. It seems like the Prime Minister just can't wait to jump on a plane and leave the country and at any opportunity he gets. He's been everywhere, to the U.S. twice, then to Italy, Mexico, and Poland, Belgium, the Netherlands, and so many other countries, right across the globe, and now back to the UAE, and yet Canadians are worse off than ever as the cost of living skyrockets faster than the Prime Minister's air miles. Can the Liberals name one tariff that's been reduced because of all that travel?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, we are taking a Team Canada approach to opening new global markets for Canadian workers and businesses. The member opposite should talk to Conservative premiers who applaud the Prime Minister's leadership on the world stage. Let me quote Premier Moe, "We welcome the Prime Minister's efforts to raise Canada's credibility in the international sphere." Premier Doug Ford thanked the Prime Minister for getting Canada out front. Now is not the time to retreat behind curtains like some of the members opposite do. It's time to lean forward and build Canada strong.
Member for Newtecumseg-Gwillimbury.
It sounds like any progress on reducing tariffs for Canadians is still up in the air, just like the Prime Minister. Zero results and zero tariffs removed, and that's not good enough. Not when investment in Canada is down $47.6 billion, when our country has the worst per capita growth in the G7, and when Canadians' families are struggling to eat, heat, and house themselves. Mr. Speaker, is this why the Prime Minister is always traveling? So he doesn't have to see the consequences his failures have brought on this country?
The Honourable Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation.
All right, instead of reading his air miles plan, why do you read the budget? The only word that the opposition seems to know is no. It's time.
The Honourable Member should, I'm not going to comment on what I've read recently in the budget or not, but if he could go through the chair, he may continue.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for counting air miles instead of reading the budget, but I will say, Mr. Speaker, the only word the opposition seems to know is no. It's time to say yes to building Canada. It's time to say yes to the National School Food Program. They said no. It's time to say yes to building affordable homes. They said no. It's time to say yes to investing in our national defense. They said no. It's time to say yes and build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bow River.
Brookfield, air miles, I don't know. Mr. Speaker, every time the Prime Minister's wheels up, Canadian bank accounts go down. The Prime Minister has taken 28 trips traveling far enough to circle the Earth almost 4 times. And what do Canadians have to show for it? Nothing. No new trade deals, no concrete wins, just photo ops, fancy meetings, hollow letters of intent that never turn real results. He met with China, higher tariffs on canola. They visited India, tariffs on yellow peas. Meetings in Washington, higher tariffs on softwood. Meetings in the UK, crickets for beef and pork. So I ask, is he even trying to get tariffs removed, or just rack up more air miles?
Get it right. That was a question, wasn't it? Okay. The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Canadians know that 2/3 of our economy is powered by trade. We are opening doors for Canadian products to reach new markets. We've signed new trade deals with Ecuador, with Indonesia. We wrapped up an investment agreement with the UAE. We're advancing negotiations with ASEAN, Philippines, and Thailand. And we have a bill before this House to expand our trade ties with the UK. We are laser focused on opening new markets for Canadian workers and businesses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Spadina Harbourfront.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, last weekend was a defining moment for sport in Canada as the Northern Super League, our country's first professional women's soccer league, held its inaugural championship final at BMO Field in my riding of Spadina Harbourfront. Can the Secretary of Sport share with Canadians how our government is investing in women's sport, including the recent $5.4 million commitment to the Northern Super League to boost local economies and bring communities together?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my friend and colleague from Spadina Harbourfront, somebody who knows a thing or two about the fight for gender equity in sport and beyond, Mr. Speaker. We are seeing remarkable progress and momentum in women's professional sport across this country, and a smart, sustainable business model has built the Northern Super League, and it's redefining what's possible in Canada with professional women's sport. That's why 5 of Canada's regional economic development agencies have come together to back the Northern Super League with a strategic federal support of up to $5.45 million. We are helping to strengthen the league's foundation and create new opportunities for fans, communities, and nations and athletes nationwide, Mr. Speaker. I want to congratulate the Vancouver Rise on winning the Diana B. Matheson Trophy, and congratulate the Super League.
The Honourable Member for Niagara South.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has circled the globe 4 times, meeting with world leaders for photo ops, meaningless letters of intent, and 0 investments. He's returned with nothing, and after 28 trips, Canadians are fed up. After meeting with China, China imposed more tariffs. After meeting with India, India imposed more tariffs. When he went to the UK, crickets. He went to Washington, and Trump imposed more tariffs. Why is it whenever the Prime Minister hops on a plane for another photo op, Canadian families get stuck with higher tariffs?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I want to end this question period, at least the Conservative question. We started this question period talking about a very unfortunate quote from the member from Calgary-Midnapore. I want to draw your attention, Mr. Speaker, to a quote from the member for Algonquin-Renfrew-Pembroke that I don't think really elevates the late nature of debate in this House. She said, in referring to the budget, they would rather die than suffer the way this Liberal government had been making them suffer. I would invite that member to retract her comment. I don't think these excesses of language and quite obviously patently false entries into debate serve anyone.
We'll have to deal with this afterwards.
Make him answer the question, though. Make him answer the question.
The Honourable Member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. While the Prime Minister is visiting the United Arab Emirates this week, horrific massacres continue to be perpetrated in Sudan. The Rapid Support Forces, supplied by weapons, with weapons by the UAE, have killed thousands of civilians, and Canadian weapons are reportedly being used in these atrocities. Canada exports millions of dollars worth of arms to the UAE. Will the Prime Minister put an end to these arms deliveries and suspend Canadian defence cooperation with this country until it stops supporting the RSF in Sudan? Or will Canada, end of question inaudible for the interpreter.
I
don't know if I could be informed if the sound was cut part of the question. The sound was cut during part of the question. Can the member start again? Halfway through, there was a cut in the sound. Whilst the Prime Minister is visiting the United Arab Emirates this week, horrific massacres continue to be perpetrated in Sudan. The Rapid Support Forces, supplied with weapons by the UAE, have killed thousands of civilians. And Canadian weapons are reportedly being used in these atrocities. Canada exports millions of dollars worth of arms to the UAE. Will the Prime Minister put an end to these arms deliveries and suspend Canadian defence cooperation with this country until it stops supporting the RSF in Sudan? Or will Canada continue to be complicit in yet another horrific war? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Foreign Affairs. Thank you. Canada condemns the atrocities happening in Sudan. They have to stop. We are horrified by the recent attacks in Al-Fasher, and we condemn the presumed massacre of 2,000 civils. Everyone must protect civilians and must allow unfettered access to humanitarian aid. Canada will continue to support the Sudanese people, as it has done from the very beginning of the conflict. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Nunavut.
The government has legal obligations to First Nations children, but the minister has stopped doing the work. This inaction is costing children their lives. The National Children's Chief Commission is being ignored. The Liberals would rather pay lawyers to fight with First Nations children. Will the minister commit to permanently stop discriminating against First Nations children, or will she continue to make lawyers rich?
And the honourable Minister of Indigenous Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First Nations children need to be guided by self-determination, and that is the pull that we are using to proceed with this work. I have on multiple occasions met with many people looking to serve and bring forward solutions for Indigenous children in community, and I think this is what I invite my colleague to do with me, is to find that path forward and respond to the urgency that is needed in this file for solutions that will deliver the proper care for children surrounded by their family in community in their own language by those that care for them the most. Thank you.
And that concludes question period. That concludes question period. I would just like to, okay, no points of order? Yes, the honourable member for, what's the writing? Algonquin, Renfrew.
I'd like to respond to that point of order. And I was relaying what my constituent had said to me when they first announced that MAID was looking at allowing for people suffering from mental illness to apply for MAID. And what she told me is that she told her doctor as soon as it's available, she wanted to be euthanized because she couldn't take bearing not being able to eat, pay the rent, or pay the heat.
Understood. Okay. J'aimerais tout simplement aviser.
I would like to.
Yes, the honourable parliamentary secretary to the House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I do have the actual quote that I think it's really important because the member does owe an apology, not to the House of Commons, but to Canadians, Mr. Speaker. And I would quote the member in terms of what it is that she said. There are older people in my riding who just cannot pay the rent or the electricity bill.
This is debate. This is debate. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're getting into we're slipping into debate. We're slipping into debate. The House Leader brought this up during question period, and so I permitted the member to clarify or to attempt to clarify, but I consider this case closed, really, to be honest. Just to let members know that the volume on the earpieces has been turned back down, and I believe we'll be soon going to the Thursday question by the opposition House Leader, and I think it's quite enough now that we can proceed. I don't know if who is going to answer the question. Pardon? Okay, sorry. Okay, so the Thursday question, please.
That's right, Mr. Speaker. It's time for everyone's favorite part of the parliamentary cycle, the Thursday question. And I was wondering if the government could inform the House as to the business that will be concluded for the rest of this week and into next week. And I do have a couple of quick questions about the agenda. There's been a lot of talk about a proposed pipeline through British Columbia to the West Coast. Of course, that would be useless if the Liberal shipping ban stays in place. Lifting that ban will require legislation. So does the government intend on bringing in legislation to end that double standard law that prevents Canadian ships from transporting Canadian energy but allows U.S. tankers to travel through the same area? And specifically, the opposition has now been asking for weeks for an emergency take-note debate on the trade impacts of this government's failures to get tariffs lifted, specifically on softwood lumber. We have proposed holding a take-note debate next week. I wonder if the government will accept that request, listen to the thousands of Canadian workers who have lost their jobs because of the devastation that has affected the softwood lumber industry, and grant that emergency take-note debate for sometime next week. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy House Leader.
Speaker, it is my pleasure to rise and to answer the Thursday question on behalf of the Government House Leader as the Deputy House Leader. Of course, there's been a lot of discussions this week, but most importantly, what I've heard from Canadians is that they really want to talk about the budget that we put forward that was voted by many members of this House, Mr. Speaker. Lots of Canadians want to talk about the jobs that will be created through this budget, the affordability measures that are in this budget, Mr. Speaker, to help Canadians move forward. So this afternoon, we'll continue the debate on second reading of the Bill C-15, an act to implement certain provisions of the budget. We will resume debate on this bill tomorrow, as well as next Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday and Thursday of next week, we will call second reading of debate of Bill C-13, an act to implement the protocol on accession of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and Comprehensive Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. I would also like to inform the House that there will be a ministerial statement on Tuesday, November the 25th, which is the first day of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Finalement, Monsieur le Président, j'aimerais
And finally, Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask for unanimous consent for the following motion: that pursuant to the Building Canada Act, paragraph 62 on emergency measures, the special committee of the House and Senate be that a committee be constituted of the House and Senate.
There's no consent, unfortunately. So that brings us to orders of the day, I believe.
Government orders.
The reading of Bill C-15, the Budget Implementation Act, and on the amendment of Monsieur Delta.
And the honourable member for South Shore St. Margaret's has 5 minutes remaining in her speech. Not here? Okay, then we'll go to the honourable member for Spadina Harbourfront.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to speak on Bill C-15, Budget Implementation Act, a budget for a moment of profound global change. This is not a routine budget. It is a blueprint for generational transformation, a plan that will define Canada's future for decades to come. We are laying the foundation for a modern, secure, and competitive Canada in the 21st century, future-proofing our economy while protecting our people. And we are doing so by making bold, responsible choices. We will build the infrastructure, the homes, and the industries that drive long-term prosperity. We will protect our communities and uphold our values. And we will empower Canadians, especially young people, with better careers, strong public services, and a more affordable life. Mr. Speaker, in a time of global uncertainty, Canada will not stand still. We choose to lead. We choose to build. With U.S. tariffs rising and global supply chains shifting, how we invest in Canadian infrastructure and manufacturing will shape our competitiveness and resilience for a generation. That is why this budget focuses on what we can control, building our economy here at home, stronger and faster than ever before. We are cutting waste and redirecting resources towards smart, generational investments that will grow our economy, protect communities, and empower Canadians. This is our moment to build big, build bold, and build now. Mr. Speaker, in times of economic uncertainty, when families across Canada are facing high rent, rising food prices, and mounting childcare costs, Canadians need to know that their government is protecting the programs that make life possible. These are not luxuries. These are essential for all Canadians. Toronto's families know that childcare costs have historically been among the highest in the country. But investing in childcare has changed that. Budget 2025 protects the National Childcare Program, ensuring that parents in Spadina Harbourfront and across Canada can continue to access good quality care. This is not just social policy, it's economic policy, enabling more parents, especially women, to participate more fully in the workforce. We are also investing in our new Canadian dental care plan, one of the largest expansions of healthcare in a generation, and it is already transforming lives. Thousands of my constituents, children,